Welcome back to the First Team. I'm Joe DeLeone. Joining me as always is my co-host, NFL draft analyst Ryan Roberts. Today we figured good timing to do a mock draft. We're in this spot right now where Thanksgiving's coming up. We got the holidays coming up. And frankly, Ryan, now is the time of despair if you're a team or a fan of a team that's not doing very well. I'm a Giants fan. I'm upset over the fact that Tommy DeVito pushed us out of the top 2 pick conversation a little bit. But I think a lot of other fans out there are kind of in the situation where they're hoping for the future.
Hey Joe, I am going to be 2-0 in fantasy this week, but I already looked forward to who was the top scorers of free agents this week just to see if the waiver wire would be
Don't even
something
say
worth
it.
doing. And Tommy DeVito was the top ranked waiver wire quarterback this week, man. He scored 20-something fantasy points. He had 3 touchdown passes, man.
That is the game of his life. He will never repeat that performance. And look, I love the bit as a North Jersey guy. I love the bit. I think it's awesome. I think it's hilarious. But Buddy didn't need to win that football game. He did not need to win that football game. So take this all with a grain of salt when we get to the Giants pick. We're going to be using the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator to do this mock draft. Make sure you check out Bet Online for all of your sports betting needs. For anything that I do betting related, I go on over to betonline.ag and I use promo code BELIEVE50. BetOnline has all of the latest updated odds for the NFL and college football seasons. Anything you need, whether it's futures, live in-game betting, no matter what, your football betting needs are met at BetOnline. And again, make sure you use that promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV50 to get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Ryan, I usually go first. You're going to start us over here with this first overall pick with the Chicago Bears. The argument could be made, maybe they don't go with the quarterback here, but just for the sake of this, I think it makes a lot of sense if that's the direction that we go in.
I think that it makes sense for a couple of different reasons. One, Justin Fields' trade value is at probably an all-time high right now because he's actually been playing pretty well. So this might be a good trade window if you do want to unload that, because it's nothing against Justin Fields. It's just that I don't think the Chicago Bears are in a winning window right now. So resetting that quarterback window of having that 4 + 1 extra year with the rookie option from a first round pick, 5 years of control, plus if you tag, that never happens for quarterbacks. So it'll be after that. But regardless, you have control over them for longer. Justin Fields is coming up to a contract designation soon, right? If he's your guy, you're going to have to pay him somewhat in the near future, right? So I think resetting that quarterback window in this scenario, I would also trade Justin Fields if I was the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take Caleb Williams from USC. I know there are a lot of people that are against Caleb Williams right now, Joe, for some of the immaturity stuff that they've been citing on Twitter. And I get it. Trust me. It's a big part of the evaluation is to be able to understand how a quarterback ticks and what drives them and the leadership qualities and all those miscellaneous things that can't be quantified simply by watching the game tape. I 100% get it. But if his character checks out and you're comfortable with him as a young man, he's the most talented quarterback in this class. I think it's by a good margin, right? Drake May's talented. There's no doubt. But what? What are you saying?
I was just going to say, I don't know if there's a big gap between him and Drake May. I think it's all based on
UCLA. That game against UCLA where he stepped up in the pocket and threw that ball across his body all the way to the left. There is exactly one quarterback in this class that would A, attempt that throw, and B, be able to make that throw. No other quarterback can do that. No other quarterback can do that. Drake May is plenty talented.
Yeah.
But I think that Caleb Williams is the most talented quarterback in this class. So if his character checks out, he is the top quarterback overall in 2024, in my opinion.
All right, not to linger on that one pick too much. I think here with the Arizona Cardinals, there is a debate to be had. I think that them missing out on Caleb Williams, that they might even be a team that picks up the phone and does not try to coerce the Bears to move off that pick and maybe move back one. So with the fact that this team is completely starting from scratch, seemingly, Kyler Murray's still there and he's looking pretty good now that he's back from injury. An offensive lineman would make the most sense, but you can't pass up on this.
I don't think so, because you just drafted Paris Johnson Jr. last year in the first round, and you still have DJ Humphries under contract as well. So I think offensive tackle, they're okay, actually.
Let's get an offensive weapon here. Let's get Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. That offense is going to be stupid if we can add a player like that into the mix. And I mean, some can make that argument, some similar stylistic play styles to Larry Fitzgerald, the way that they're built, the way that they played the game. Marvin Harrison Jr., a fantastic athlete. Be nice to have another star wide receiver there in Arizona.
Yep, would be a very good pick. I agree. That would have been the pick I would have went, Joe. So kudos to you, sir. New England Patriots, pick number 3. Drake Maye, quarterback, North Carolina, top need on the board right now. I mean, honestly, Mac Jones hasn't played well. They've benched him last game, and apparently, people in that building don't really like him either. Right? So,
Shocking.
quarterback. Seriously, guy's name is McCorkle. I could have told you that he wasn't going to be a good person overall. Obviously, joking, but you have an opportunity to reset that quarterback window and to take another plunge at it. Right? If you don't have a franchise quarterback, you have no winning window. Getting a quarterback like Drake Maye, who I already talked about a little bit, 6'4", 220 pounds. He is very Justin Herbert-ish as far as his skill set. Good athlete overall. Long, talented thrower down the field. He can make every throw in the book, and he's a guy that he's still improving, which is the great part too, right? Like he's only a Richard sophomore, and I feel like we just talked about him as like a finished product. Drake Maye is improving and continues to build up his repertoire. I think that he has franchise signal caller talent.
All right, the Chicago Bears got their quarterback, and I think that the most logical thing for them to come around and do is to try and get some protection for said quarterback. I think that those who have been paying attention have seen that Olu Fashanu hasn't been as good as the projection has been over the offseason. Still a good football player, still probably going to be a top 15 pick, but I'm going to go with Joe Alt here, guy that's local to the market. A lot of Chicago fans are crossover fans with Notre Dame. Joe Alt, I know, hasn't been perfectly clean, but arguably one of the best offensive linemen in the country, if not Talise Fuaga for me, is that second best guy. But they're getting protection. You've got a young quarterback. You have the opportunity to pick in the top 4 with 2 picks. You got to take advantage of that and plug in there with Joe Alt.
I'm very surprised, Joe. I thought you were an Olu Fashanu guy, man. I thought that was your dude.
What?
But
no.
I thought in the preseason you
him.
told me that you thought Fashanu was your number 1 offensive tackle. I thought that was what
I did, but yeah, I mean my rank is going to change here.
Gotcha. Yeah, I actually think Joe Alt's been pretty fantastic in the 2023 season overall. I mean, we highlighted one rep where he gave up a sack where he got tripped by his offensive guard, but otherwise he's improved as a run blocker. He's still the very good pass blocker that he always was. I love Joe Alt, man. I think the pick makes a lot of sense. New York Giants, Joseph. Oh, man. Because both quarterbacks are off the board. I know that they just paid Daniel Jones, but like they had to have buyer's remorse on that, right? As far as like giving Daniel Jones that type of contract.
Yeah, don't even get me started.
I guess for now, though, like you need to be able to. God, this board sucks for them too, man.
Right. So that was what I said in the lead-in. They're out of position to get a quarterback here at 5, and they're now in this spot. They're going to go with an offensive lineman. They missed out on Marvin Harrison Jr. They missed out on all these good opportunities. This is going to be a tackle.
Who's their right tackle? I know they have
Evan Neal, and I think that what happens with Evan Neal is you bump him into guard and hope that he can play better at guard. Basically, Eric Flowers all over again. So let's just get it over with. Just give me another offensive lineman that's going to make me depressed.
I don't want to do that, man. That's not fun. There's no fun in this at all.
That's my whole point, Ryan. The Giants don't do things that are fun.
Joe, I am going to do something that I would seriously consider. I know you're going to hate this, but it's fine. You're going to hate this. Actually, I can't do it because they just gave Daniel Jones all that money, right? Like they can't just be like, oh, we're going to take a quarterback. Like they've hamstrung themselves.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And they're not going to do Brock Bowers because they're paying Darren Waller all that goddamn money. So it's like, here we are. We're in the most
wide receiver, I guess.
Wide position possible. If Dave Gettleman was here, this pick would be Jerjon Newton. We both know that.
Man, I mean, I guess you could go a wide receiver, though, right? Would they consider a wide receiver here?
Not this early. They're a franchise that's, I'm telling you, this is Olu Fashanu.
All right, man. Give me Olu Fashanu. I guess you move him over to right tackle. You move Evan Neal into guard. I guess in theory, you are both in the offensive line. I guess. I hate that pick, though, man. Not that I hate Olu. I think Olu is a high-level pass blocker. I've compared him to Brickashaw Ferguson in the past. I like him as a football player, but I just don't love it for where that roster is at a certain couple spots, man. But give me Olu. Give him to me.
So the Tennessee Titans end up in a really good spot here where you've got Will Levis right now seems like he's the guy. And I think that there's a direction to build for the future. Their offensive line, they've spent a number of picks. It's relatively bolstered. They missed out on maybe an opportunity to get Alt or Fashanu. I'm actually kind of racking my brain. Maybe they get who's their right tackle right now?
I think their right tackle was no Dylan Radins is playing guard for them, right? Is it Nicholas Petit Friere? Wasn't he their guy? I think he might have gotten hurt, but I thought it was Nicholas Petit Friere.
Okay, you know what
Almost
we're gonna do?
positive.
We're gonna do Talise Fuaga. I was gonna do Brock
Oh, I
Bowers,
love it.
but you
Love
know
it.
what? Talise Fuaga, if Rabel's still there, that's a Tennessee Titan right there. Mauling,
Three.
aggressively, physical. Put him right in at right tackle. Could you imagine that offensive line, that run game with all those guys in there? Dude, that's scary. That's a scary pick if they get Talise Fuaga.
Three straight offensive tackle picks after a little bit of run on quarterbacks and
Yeah.
one wide receiver early, Joe. I love it, man. This is an easy one. Tight end is a big need. Logan Thomas just isn't very good, and I think he might not be under contract after this year as well. Brock Bowers, tight end, weapon, offensive weapon, whatever you want to say. I know that Sam Howell has had a couple clunkers this year as far as a couple bad interception games, but he's also played really well in a lot of other games. I think Sam Howell might be their guy moving forward. They have Terry McLaurin. They have Curtis Samuel. They got some wide receivers. Get a big body pass catcher, a guy that can work more in the middle of the field than what they have right now. I think that a guy like Brock Bowers would be an instant, like just upgrade over that position, obviously, but an instant upgrade in dynamic ability that they continue to bring to the table.
All right. I think that the Atlanta Falcons, they're plummeting right now. And there's probably a pretty good chance that they're starting over at their head coaching position. That means it's time to start over at quarterback. I think that they have a pretty good roster, so there's going to be a desire to maybe select somebody who can play early, somebody who's experienced. It helps that three guys that come to mind are Bo Nix, Jane Daniels, Michael Penix. Any of those three guys, I'm sure, are going to be in this discussion for this team. But you know who's been a big riser is Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels has been tremendous. He throws really well in the run, and I look at all those weapons that they have in that offense, knowing what he's done this year with all the weapons he has at LSU. Jaden Daniels is an Atlanta Falcon. I think that makes perfect sense.
I almost gave him to the Giants with the fifth
I don't
overall
think they
pick. I
do that,
almost did it,
man.
Joe. I almost did it, but I didn't obviously do it. But very interesting. That would be a very interesting situation that happens because I told you the other day, man. I think Jaden Daniels for me has solidified himself as quarterback 3 in this class. He just brings a different dual threat capability that no one else in this class
No,
has. Nix has grown on me tremendously. There's a couple other quarterbacks that I like as like mid-tier guys, but nobody that I look at and say like they've really risen themselves to a top 10 type of quarterback evaluation right now. So Jane Daniels, interesting pick. Green Bay Packers. Ugh.
this is going to be Leiatu
Oh,
Latu in real life, but we don't need to do that.
I don't know if that's going to be Leia Tulatu though, because I'm
Nah,
still
come
I'm
on,
still
man.
worried
They've
about the
just been.
medicals, man. I'm still worried about the
It's true.
medicals. I am.
It's true.
I'm
Or
I'm
Jerjon
just
Newton.
not
They
there.
love just taking defensive players that they don't really need.
But I'm pretty sure the Packers are like, wait, pretty sure the Packers are like very like measurable heavy though, right? Like would they love Jerzon Newton at like 6'1" and
Good
some
point.
change? Like
Good point.
I don't know if these are like, oh, God,
They're
because
logical to
there's
take a receiver here.
it could because Christian Watson has been a dud this year so far. I mean, they still need wide receiver help. Romeo Dubs, yeah, let's go wide receivers. Give me Keon Coleman. I think he brings a little bit
I
of a
like that.
different element to the game from Florida State. I'm big on Keon Coleman in this class, man. 6'4", 215 pounds, former high-level high school basketball player, can win above the rim. I think now if you add him as a pure X wide receiver and you let guys like Christian Watson and Romeo Dubs be a little bit more of just secondary options, I think that would be a big help for this offense. So give me Keon Coleman.
Huh. Wow, I don't think we've had a defensive player come off the board. So the Tampa Bay
Not yet.
Buccaneers, it's projected maybe they could take a quarterback. I feel like they're going to try and see how much more they can ride out with Baker Mayfield. Maybe they can get something out of him. But with that in mind, they feel like a team that would go ahead and draft an edge rusher. I like the idea of Jared Verse coming off the board here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Has had not a down season, but not as exciting as I think we were hoping. Still worthy of
Yeah.
being a top 10 pick and is somebody who's going to step in, probably have a pretty early impact.
Oh no, he's been good. I think he's been a lot better than the box score would indicate, but he's been good.
Right.
He's been good in my opinion. Yeah. Who we got? New York Jets. Oh my God,
It's
they need
got
a
to be a
quarterback
lineman.
too. They need a quarterback, Joe. They don't have a quarterback. Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is coming back from an Achilles injury at 40 years old. Am I to trust Aaron Rodgers that he's going to come back from this?
I guess. I mean that's what the inevitable hope would be, would it not?
Oh my god, I guess, man. All right, fine. Offensive tackle, give me a Marius Mims. I'm just not there with JC Latham still. I know
Yeah.
Marius Mims has been banged up a large portion of the season, but 6'7", 330, those traits that he has. He plays right tackle for Georgia, but I think he has all the necessary traits to play left tackle if he wants. The high level stuff is about as high level as you can get. So give me a Marius Mims to hopefully play one of the tackle spots for the New York Jets.
We don't know what the Chargers coaching situation is going to be like, but
Yeah.
their roster offensively, I think, is fine. I think that it's way better than it's performing right now. But
Yep.
knowing that their secondary has been a little bit suspect, Kool-Aid McKinstry here for the Los Angeles Chargers, I think, would be a fantastic pick. They were dealing with all the drama with J.C. Jackson and all that stuff, so drafting the first corner off the board, it's a good spot there for the Chargers.
Their pass coverage this year has been
Terrible.
brutally bad, man. Very bad. So, yes, adding a corner is a good proposition for them. LA Rams, man, another weird one because Matt Stafford is clearly at the end, right? Like,
Yeah.
clearly at the end. So, Joe, go to quarterbacks, man. We're going to do
Uh-oh.
it here. We're going to do it. Give me Bo Nix. Give me Bo
Wow.
Nix.
You beat
Quarterback
me
from
to it.
Oregon. Hey, man, this is all I have to say about Bo. He went from a meme to a Heisman potential winner in 2 seasons. That's what he has done since he got to the University of Oregon. He is become a very safe player. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes now for the University of Oregon, but I think us calling him a safe player has lost the fact that, like, why did people fall in love with Bo Nix early on in his career, Joe? It's because the kid is talented, right?
Yeah.
Like, he has a strong arm. He is a good athlete. So with a guy like Sean McVay, I think that you
He's still there.
continue that upward swing. I don't think that we've seen the best version of Bo Nix yet, which is he's just risen his floor exponentially, in my opinion. So give me Bo Nix for the LA Rams moving forward.
A pick like this usually signals a panic for
Yes.
teams that need quarterbacks. There's a lot of quarterback needy teams this year. And I
Sure.
also think that it's helpful that there's a lot of veteran and experienced quarterbacks. There's going to be a lot of guys in this conversation. We have here on the available players, probably not going to be viewable to the audience that's watching. Carson Beck's on here. Riley Leonard's on here and Shadur Sanders are on here. I don't think any of these three guys, Shadur also, it's been stated that he's not entering this year's draft. I don't think any of those three guys are going to be a part of this class. I really don't. Maybe Carson Beck, but all indicators kind of say that kid is coming back. Michael Penix, on the other hand, we're going to be starting over. Maybe it's Antonio Pierce as the head coach. We're going to be starting over completely from scratch. Aiden O'Connell, whatever, man, that's not the guy for the future. You have the chance to draft the guy who is as old with a bigger arm. I know that he's not perfect, but I have seen so many good things from Michael Penix who could stretch the field. You've got Devontae Adams. Maybe in the second round, you take advantage of this receiver depth. You get another receiver, and then offense can be firing on all cylinders. So, and you got Michael Mayer too, dude. Give me Michael Penix
Michael
Jr.
Mayer.
I think that'd be a really, really fun ad for the. Sorry, you hate the word fun. A really exciting ad for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Michael Mayer's been so good when the Raiders choose to throw him the ball. They just barely ever throw him the
I
ball.
know.
It's absolutely obnoxious. I hate that pick, but we're not going to daunt on that too much. Moving here. Indianapolis Colts. They say wide receiver is one of their biggest needs. I don't necessarily agree with that. Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. I feel like they have a couple guys there. Offensive line wise, I could see it. Can you go to defensive line for me, Joe? Just go to like interior defensive line. I know it's probably going to be your boy Jazan, but
Leonard Taylor, baby.
I don't want Jazan Newton either. I don't, man.
Take
Indianapolis Colts are kind of like a
Taylor.
weird roster to Leonard Taylor is not going to go in the first round. That is idiotic.
Someone tried to tell me that Tavondre Sweat was a first round pick.
Nobody said that. Nobody
no,
said
some
that.
Ruffino and Joe Show listener, because I called him soft at the beginning of the season. He's still a 2-down player who's got no stamina. So I stand by. Okay, so what are you thinking here?
Can you go to offensive tackle for me real quick? I just want to look at my options real quick as I kind of delayed. I know, man. God. This sucks. Okay. All right, we're back to defensive line. Actually, go to edge real quick for me. Go to edge. It's my last look. All right, I'm gonna get my first edge off the board. I'm gonna go with a stand up here. Give me Dallas Turner, edge from Alabama. Kind of a hybrid player. He can move all over the place a little bit. Stand up edge in a 4-3 or stand up edge in a 3-4, as kind of it's become a much more hybrid role in the NFL nowadays. It again, Indianapolis Colts actually isn't a terrible roster. They don't have like a ton of holes, but give me a guy that I think could be a dynamic pass rusher because you can never have too many pass rushers on the next level.
The Denver Broncos, another one of those teams. I think there's two directions that I spot. I think you go wide receiver because the receivers, all the talent that you've brought in has not panned out, but at the same time, defensively, they gave up 70 points one week, and I know that they've improved, but I look at the fact that this edge group, man, there's just no talent on it. I don't think there's any superstar edge players that are remaining here on the board. I'm a Lietu Latu fan. I think that you bring up a good point that the medicals might push him out of the
Take
first
him,
round.
Joe.
Yeah, I'm just for stylistically what they need. I think Lietu Latu could fit nice there in Denver, assuming that we're not privy to the medical situation. So let's go with Lietu Latu.
Well, I mean, if Latu's healthy, man, he's a baller. Like he's a very good football player. So no doubt. Go to offensive line for me, Joe. I already know who I'm picking for this one. Cincinnati Bengals on the clock. Give me
Troy Fontanu.
He's listed as offensive tackle here. That's funny. Troy Fontanu, who is an offensive lineman for Washington, plays left tackle for them, but he's going to kick inside the guard more than likely. Really talented kid, dude. I can see him playing both guard spots. I can see him playing center. I could even see him playing an offensive tackle in the right system, although I don't think that's necessarily where he best translates to. The Cincinnati Bengals are weak inside on the interior, though. Their offensive tackles are okay. Jonah Williams, Orlando Brown, it's okay. Interior offensive line isn't great. And now, again, you're going to have Joe Burrow coming back from a second season-ending injury during his career, so you need to protect him at all costs. Troy Fontanu, one of the best offensive linemen in the 2024 draft.
That offensive line with the Bengals is a foregone conclusion, and I think that the Buffalo Bills picking a wide receiver is a foregone conclusion. Look, Gabe Davis is fine as a third receiver, but they got to get some options here.
Khalil Shakur breakout this past weekend, man. Come on now.
They also might lose Stephon Diggs, which is even more concerning. So let's go with a guy who is a spark plug, a guy who has been a phenomenal player this season. I'm going with Malik Neighbors from LSU. I think a lot of teams just are going to covet naturally LSU wide receivers because they love to scout the helmet. So let's go with Malik Neighbors with the Buffalo Bills.
All right. He's a good football player, man. It's a good football player. I respect it. Interior defensive line is a spot where the New Orleans Saints actually just upgraded a little bit with Brian Bresee last year. But I'm going to go back to the well for myself here, Joe. I'm going to go with Jerzon Newton here at pick number 19. I think him and Brian Bresee inside are such different players, right? Like they're not similar at all. Brian Bresee 6'5", a little bit longer. You see a Jerzon Newton a little bit more of a stocky build, a little bit more natural leverage. I think that would be a really imposing interior defensive line. So Jerzon Newton to the New Orleans Saints.
Man, I want to go with an interior offensive lineman here with the Vikings.
You can always move a tackle into guard, man. You could always do it. JC Latham actually wouldn't be a bad guard, if I'm being honest.
Man, I don't like any of these options here. Minnesota Vikings. You know what? Yeah, JC Latham feels like he might end up getting overpicked here by the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go with JC Latham for the Vikings. They need their defense has been amazing. What they've done defensively down this stretch has won them football games. So let's bolster that offensive line. You kind of figure out some musical chairs there.
Make sure when you post this, you say that he can play interior offensive line because people are just going to be like, they have Brian O'Neill, they have Christian Darrisaw, they're not going to pick an offensive tackle. It's just like, dude, shut up. We're picking something different here, right? Picking something different. Arizona Cardinals. Who do we give them the first pick? Who was the first pick that we gave the Arizona Cardinals?
We gave them Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is off the board now. Like the Cardinals... Look, yeah, I mean, everyone can use offensive line help, right? But like, there's no offensive lineman that I really love that's on the board anymore. Edge is always a spot that could improve. Corner is a position that Arizona, I feel like, has needed for a long time and is going to continue to just kind of move past with not the best options on the board. So give me a corner, Joe. First corner off, second corner off the board here. I'm a big fan of Kalen King. But I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins here for the Cardinals because I think that Nate Wiggins brings something that the Cardinals kind of need a lot at corner that they haven't had recently. They need length, and they don't have a ton of it. And Nate Wiggins is length, athleticism, speed. I really like a lot of what Nate Wiggins brings to the table for Clemson. Quietly been excellent this year for a Clemson defense that has still been good, but not quite as good as usual.
There's been an overinvestment on the defensive side of the ball for the Seahawks, and I think that it's now
Yep.
time to really bolster that interior offensive line. I'm going to go with a pick that I wouldn't make, but I feel like is a total Seattle Seahawks
Oh
pick. Let's go
no.
with Cedric Van Pran, center from Georgia. It's a fine football player. He's one of those guys who I think I'm going to grade probably as like a top 100 guy, but he just feels like someone who's going to go in the first round because the team's going to be like veteran player. He played for Georgia. Played in the SEC, and he was relatively consistent. Like that feels like one of those moves to the back end of the first round.
Did you just take a kid that you said is a top 100 player that at pick number 22? Did you just do that to me,
Hey,
Joe?
I'm saying that feels like the Seahawks have made weirder picks, man.
Okay. I hear you, man. I hear you. Oh, God. I wish Troy Fontana was on the board because I could put him at center for the Pittsburgh Steelers because apparently their center situation is terrible. But can't do that. Oh, my God. All right. Joey Porter Jr., they have a corner, right, who's been playing pretty well so far. They have Minkah at safety. Wide receivers, I feel like they have a bunch of them. I mean, they need a quarterback.
They got a bunch of
honestly.
mediocre receivers, though. Let's get them a receiver, man.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to get him a receiver right here. I don't know if I want to do that. Can you go to quarterback? Who's on the board right now for quarterback? Do we got anybody left?
I don't think if they're picking that far that they're going to take a quarterback. Do you?
I don't know. I mean,
last time they took a swing, it didn't work.
Sure, but they took a swing with a bad player. I mean, so you could always take a swing with a good player. That change your philosophy around a little bit. Cornerback, maybe go to corner real quick. You know what? I'm going to do this, Joe, because we're in the NFL now that plays so much sub. We can play guys inside and out and in a nickel and do a bunch of different things with corners now. I know you drafted Joey Porter Jr. last year. Let's get his teammate, who actually thinks a better prospect than him, Kalen King from Penn State. Scrappy kid, very good player. He's actually having a really good year. Everyone just remembers, of course, the Ohio State game where Marvin Harrison Jr. got him a few times. And it's like, guys, who doesn't Marvin Harrison Jr. get a few times every single week? That just happens, right? Kalen King, good football player.
A reoccurring bit that we have with talented young receivers is going on and drafting one of their college teammates. And I think that Emeka Egbuka has been a little more quiet this year. CJ Stroud has been amazing. Yeah, he's been a little banged up. But at one point, Emeka Egbuka was wide receiver 2 for a lot of people, at least wide receiver 3. I think if he's on the board, I think this is one of the situations where they'll probably have a first-round grade, somewhere like top 50 grade on him. They're just going to say, CJ, should we take Emeka Egbuka? And he's going to be like, yeah, I want to throw to the guy that I was thrown to last year. Of course, get me him. So Emeka Egbuka feels like he'd make a ton of sense.
I love that pick because they have a lot of guys I think can win down the football field in a bunch of different ways. Like Tank Dell, obviously more with speed and quickness. And then you got guys like Noah Brown who are more of the big body pass catchers, the Nico Collinses of the world. You don't really have a short underneath separator. And that's kind of what Emeka Egbuka brings to the table. So I do like that selection. Tight end, Brock Bowers is already off the board. Miami Dolphins, they need another offensive lineman. Man, God. This is getting hard, man. It's getting really hard because they traded for Bradley Chubb. They still have Jalen Phillips, so they don't really need an edge. Interior defensive line, they just paid Christian Wilkins, right? Linebacker, I guess they need one. Safety, they're good. Corner, they're good. Well, what linebackers are on the board? We haven't even taken one yet, right?
Edgerrin Cooper, Jeremiah Trotter.
No, thank you. No, thank you on that. Man, this is hard. Go to interior defense. No, they don't need an interior defensive lineman. Go to offensive line, Joe. I mean, that's the only spot that they need. I mean,
maybe Graham Barton.
No, absolutely not. Go to interior offensive line for me real quick. Oh my God,
this feels like a trade out type of a pick.
Yes, it does. It certainly feels like that 100%. Man. Give me Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. He's played center this year. He's played guard in the past, though. You can plug him inside. I mean, Joe, I didn't know where to go there, man. I didn't know. I mean, I could have got another part-time pass rusher, but like you just spent so much to get Bradley Chubb, and you have Jalen Phillips, who's a former first-round pick. Like that's just a tough selection. Sorry, Dolphins fans. I'm sorry.
There's some pretty good receiver talent in this draft. I didn't know Kamari Lassiter was eligible for this year's draft. I didn't think that he was going to be, but
he's also not very good, even though everyone acts like he's very good. But that's another conversation for another.
Terrion Arnold has had a pretty meteoric rise this year. Somebody who was on the top 50 radar, but a lot of people have been talking up his performance. Big reason why their defense has been so good. and the Cowboys are in a position to get a luxury pick of drafting a new corner.
You should have drafted Cooper DeJean, you turd. All right, let's go. San Francisco also needs a corner, Joe. Can you show me that corner board more? Oh, easy enough, sir.
Cooper DeJean?
Easy enough. Cooper DeJean, baby. Give him to me. Hey, the San Francisco 49ers, all joking aside, they love versatility on the back end. I mean, you think about like Jimmy Ward is a guy that's played nickel, has played safety. You think about some of their like Talanoa Funaga, who just got hurt. I think that you could potentially put Cooper DeJean at 3 different spots in your secondary, and you could upgrade significantly. So Cooper DeJean, San Francisco 49ers.
I'm kind of confused why the Jaguars don't have receiver as a need, because I feel like their receivers have been.
They played Christian Kirk big money. They have Calvin Ridley now.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I don't know, dude. I honestly, I'm kind of wondering here if this is not a move where you try to add a receiver because the offense has been a bit underwhelming. And you've got a super talented quarterback. Let's go with Rome Odunze. I don't know how much longer you're going to have Calvin Ridley in that situation, so let's add Rome Odunze into the mix.
All right, Baltimore Ravens. They list wide receiver as a big need, but I feel like they've invested a lot recently, right? Like Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr. is a guy that they signed this offseason as well, who I think's played okay. Man, some tough ones here, man. There actually is a lot of tough ones. Can you go to the corner board for me again, just to see who's on the board there? Let's see what corner's on the board. Dude, I don't like any of the. Actually, I do like one of those guys. People are going to hate this pick, but I actually think this guy has a chance to rise very, very high. Give me Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. Give me.
I like that
Joe,
one.
My guy is 6 foot, 200 plus pounds. He's going to run in the high 4.3s. He's got incredible ball skills. Yes, he plays at Toledo, but he's also going to the Senior Bowl here down in Mobile. And I think that he is going to showcase his talents throughout this offseason. Wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 50 player. Would it be the most unrealistic thing in the world if Quinyon Mitchell ends up being a first round pick? No, I don't think it would be. So Quinyon Mitchell, yeah.
Lions are an interesting talking point because I do think that
every team is so like everyone just needs offensive linemen, and there's not enough offensive linemen to go around. There just isn't.
I'm not super high on Graham Barton, but Graham Barton feels like somebody that could end up playing in Detroit, and they could put him at center, they could put him at guard. He's somebody who you can develop him to play either position. So let's go with Graham Barton.
He's a grinder, man. He eats nails for breakfast. Dan Campbell's kind of guy. Wide receiver board. Let's go to the wide receiver board here. Wide receivers that are left. A.D. Mitchell.
Johnny this might be Xavier Worthy, man.
I'm not.
Ladd?
Nah, Ladd's not going to go in the first round. I like Ladd, though. Give me A.D. Mitchell. I'm not like the biggest A.D. Mitchell fan of all time because I just want to see more production. But at pick number 31, to get that type of length and playmaking speed that he has, yeah, I'll take that. And then hopefully one of those smaller wide receivers, maybe you double dip at some point because quietly, the Kansas City Chiefs need a lot of help at pass receiver, man. Is their I think their top receiver right now is Justin Watson. That's not good enough. It's not good enough.
They're brutal. All right, closing us out here. Luxury pick. Let's take Cam Kitchens, safety out of Miami.
I like that.
The Philadelphia Eagles. Makes a ton of sense. Folks, that's going to be it from us. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back for the rest of your week.